Darin Hovis here at Power 4 Fitness, and today we're going to be discussing nutrition. So nutrition has been notoriously complex and people get it wrong so many times. We want to try to bring some simplicity to your approach to nutrition for life, but also for golf. So we'll be discussing some simple, easy ways to change your nutrition, especially throughout this time. And hopefully this allows you to have some success. So we'll get right into it. Some of the things that we will talk about today are essentially what are the best things that you can do to better your nutrition, whether that's just throughout life or you're just trying to perform optimally on and off the golf course. I think everybody has different sets of goals as to what they want to accomplish. So some people want to gain weight, some people want to lose weight. I would say the latter is typically what I find players want to do and frankly need to do. So here's some of the easy things that we can incorporate into our daily lives. But I want to discuss some things from Precision Nutrition that I've got a certification in as an athletic trainer, giving you some simple general tips to help you out. And one of their big things is calorie counting. And calorie counting is really something that these fitness trackers like the iWatch and like the Whoop, for example, you can track your activity, calories in, calories out. It's kind of general based on the data that you're putting in, but everybody's going to be a little bit different. And we'll talk about that with calories out. So calories in, what you're seeing on food labels is not always accurate. So we'll start in the left column here at number 1. Calorie counts are very imprecise. And what you find is some of them might be up to 20, 50% off of what they are truly containing. So you see, for example, here, apples, carrots, and tomatoes. You take one medium apple, for example, you could be on the scale of anywhere from 83 to 116 calories. You take 1 cup of carrots, 37 calories, all the way up to 61. The same for tomatoes, 23 to 40. So some of these things that you're seeing on the labels and the shelves might not be really what you're putting into your body, although you're maybe weighing it out. That's really a complex and tedious way to approach things. And I think simple is definitely the way to go, because it's easy to incorporate into your daily life, and it's easier to make that change and not just go on this diet that you maybe have success with for a week or several months, but it's not something that's sustainable over the long term. Then we move down, we get into lean beef. So you take a 6-ounce filet, could be anywhere from 323 to over 500 calories. And that's obviously going to depend on how it's prepared as well, what it's cooked in, where it's coming from, how much fat content does it have, et cetera, et cetera. And you get into a sweet potato, 231 all the way up to 700 and over. And then you get into bread, different kinds of breads. So you just take white bread, for example, anywhere from 51 to 78 calories. Peanuts, again, depending on the nuts that you're consuming there as well. Great sources of healthy fats, but also some proteins, but you can see how that fluctuates to 213 up to 276. So the FDA is really allowing up to 20% inaccuracy. So what would be labeled as maybe 150 calories could be anywhere from 130 to 180 calories, truly. So it's not always that balance of what we would like to think. If I need to lose weight, then I just need to eat less. Well, you can eat less, but what we want to make sure is you are getting all of the nutrients that your body demands on a daily basis. And I would say most people don't do that when they go on these diets. So number two, we also don't absorb all of the calories we consume. So in addition to the calorie counts being off, we aren't always consuming and absorbing the calories and all the nutrients that are in the food that we are consuming. So when we take this example here, you look at different sources of nuts and seeds. You take the top one, only 68% of those are absorbed. You get down to the cashews, you're 79%, versus other forms of nuts where we might absorb a few bit more in the pistachios. Also with fiber-rich foods, so those are going to be your leafy vegetables, some of your fruits are there as well. So you're going to have 17% more calories absorbed in tomatoes, 28% with kale, 21% with cabbage, sauerkraut, things like that. Kimchi, oranges, about 12% more. Mangoes, 10% more, and then black beans, cooked black beans, 15% there as well. So what we're seeing is that we can either have a decrease or an increase in what we are able to absorb based on what we are consuming throughout the day. So if we move over to third column here, how you prepare the food, and I talked about this with the steak, is also very important. So cooking is generally going to make more calories available for absorption. Granted, we're cooking it in the right way. So cooking can also diminish the nutrients that we are leaving in the food throughout it. So we take an egg, for example. You just hard boil an egg. You're going to increase that calorie count by up to 35%. You're going to go from 47 calories on average to 74. You take a steak, for example, 196 calories. You're cooking in oil, or you're lathering a bunch of butter on it, like a lot of restaurants do. You're going to take that way up. So let's go from 196 to 240 or even more. And then you take a potato, for example, 100 calories, cook it, bake it, up to close to 200 calories. So you're getting these very different numbers based on how it's prepared. And I'd say that's the biggest difference that you're going to see in a restaurant experience. You're going to see an increase in calories just because you are seeing that cooked oftentimes in a nice tasting fat. So individuals are also going to absorb calories uniquely depending on the gut biome, the bacteria, any underlying issues with the intestines there as well. So we're all going to be basically different from our daily lives, even based on height and weight. We're all going to burn the same amount of calories, absorb different amounts of calories, and that's going to change how we are eating throughout the day, or should. And then number 5, people aren't great at eyeballing portion sizes. So when it says a tablespoon or a teaspoon and you put that into your daily tracker, you could be way off on what you're actually eating. And I think some people are actually a bit negligent to that and say, that was maybe just a tablespoon of peanut butter, when in fact that's maybe 3. So we're getting a lot more calories. We're underreporting what we are taking in throughout the day. So we'll get into how to portion that in slide 3 here. So now we're going to talk about calories out. So there are a few ways to measure this. Some equations that we can put height, weight, age, sex into. It's going to give us really a general idea of how much you're able to burn. It's going to give us a resting metabolic rate in some cases. It's going to tell us how many calories you're burning during a certain activity. The problem with that is it's changing from day to day. The environment's changing from day to day, and we're not always going to be consistent. So starting at number one here, the best way to measure for us is what we're going to do, water displacement method. So this is something that you really rarely see unless you're in the high level athletics, you're fine tuning certain things. One, because it's expensive, but we don't have the facilities to do that easily either. The next one would be direct calorimetry. So in this one, the golfer would drink water containing isotopes, which then the labs measure in body fluids over time to estimate average daily metabolic rate. That has a margin of error up to 45%, whereas that water displacement method is really, really good. It's 3.3. One of the things that we had at Florida Gulf Coast University was a bod pod, another expensive piece of equipment, but an accurate way to measure how many calories are going out. And then we have indirect calorimetry, margin of error down around 10%, which is going to show us the gas exchange, and it's going to estimate energy expenditure based on those numbers. So this is really what's behind a lot of the numbers you see and the estimates that go into the equations that we put into. So again, an easier way to measure, although this equipment is a bit expensive as well. So most of the time we're way off on what we are even estimating in terms of calories coming out with even if we're just sitting all day, we're not active. So this little red box here, fitness trackers are off by about 30% for total daily caloric energy expenditure. And for aerobic exercise, the devices show errors between 9 and 23%. Here's what that looks like for a 300 calorie workout. Also, what you'll see is the device is going to vary on how much error it's going to present as well. So if you've got a polar heart rate monitor where it's wrapped around the center of your chest, that's going to be more accurate than an object out on the wrist, such as the iWatch, which is going to measure through those couple green lights underneath the face of the watch there. So keep that in mind as well when you're looking at devices for measurements as well, because those can vary as well. Number 2, individuals are going to burn calories uniquely and variably. So genetics is going to play a role in this as well. So we're going to say genetics load the gun where your lifestyle pulls the trigger. And that's something that I want you to kind of keep in mind. The genetics are a factor, but changing lifestyle, changing the diet, changing exercise levels is a good way to keep the finger off that trigger so we don't run into issues down the road. One of the biggest things that I see is sleep deprivation. Most people do not sleep enough, and therefore they're not able to burn as much fat, and it's going to decrease the calories burned from 5 to 20% based on the studies that Precision Nutrition has put together. Women, for premenopausal women, the menstrual cycle will also affect the resting metabolic rate. So keep that in mind. Air is up to 20% when you're considering what time of the cycle you're going through. So obviously, caloric need is going to have to go up during the most active phase there. Number 3, what and how much you eat influences how many calories you burn. So in a response to overeating, metabolism increases. However, some people's metabolism will adapt more than others. So say you take these people, 1,000 calories more than they need per day for 8 weeks. And what you're gonna see is each person would have gained 16 pounds. So varying data based on person to person. So you're going to burn more energy eating different macronutrients. So say you're eating more protein, you're going to burn 20 to 30% more than your carbohydrates or heavier fat eaters, and then 5 to 10% more with carbohydrates, and then 0 to 3% more with the fat. So I'm on the side of, especially as an athlete, being more balanced in what you're eating. But you can certainly have success with vegan, vegetarian, keto, Atkins diet, really anything that you want to go into, you can have success with. You just need to know how you're going to balance out your needs, because you still need proteins. You're still going to be taking in carbs, and you're going to need some fats there as well. So number 4, your weight history is going to influence how many calories you burn as well. So it's just a matter of, okay, what's your training activity? Have you been an athlete your whole life where you're going to be burning more calories, or have you been overweight? The metabolism's lower. We're trying to throw some logs on the fire to help it increase, gain lean mass, but your body's not used to being in that state. So you're going to burn fewer calories as a result of that. So it's just a matter of, okay, what's the background been? And it's not an exact science like most of us are led to believe. So what we want to give you is a way to portion control and give yourself an easy way to tell what you're doing throughout the day. So Precision Nutrition's thing is keeping it simple and allowing you to use your hand for basically everything you need. So if we walk through it here, 1 serving of protein is going to be 1 palm. So you can see in the visual here, it's an easily recognizable portion. A serving of a fist for vegetables. Carbohydrates would be 1 cupped hand, and then a serving of fats would be 1 thumb. So we can use this as a method to build our plate throughout the day. So men and women are going to be a little different based on caloric needs and the grams of each of these that we're looking into. So for example, some protein that we can have: meat, fish, eggs, cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, 2 palm-sized portions. And this would just be throughout the day. We'll get into, if you're working out here as well. So 2 palm-sized portions for men, 1 for women. So it's a few less grams for the protein. Men, when we get into vegetables, 2 fist-sized portions. Women, 1. We're looking for broccoli, spinach, carrots, salads, any of your leafy legumes, for example, there as well. So I'm a fan of carbs. Carbs are going to be a readily available source of energy, especially for athletes. This includes your grains, starches, beans, fruits, etc. So for women, we're looking for 1 cupped hand-sized portion of these. And for men, we're allowing for 2. And then number 4 would be fats. So these are going to be your oils, your butters, nuts and seeds. So some things that are going to allow you to get some healthier fats, some unsaturated fats into the diet that are going to break down better in the body, and be better nutrients for you in the long run. So we say men eating 3 to 4 meals as outlined like this would be anywhere from 2,300 calories to 3,000 calories per day. Women eating 3 to 4 meals as outlined this way would be 1,200 to 1,500 calories per day. What I find is that most people are under eating and under nutrients. They're malnourished essentially throughout the day because they're not getting everything that they need. They're way under on calories. Therefore, they're not consistently feeding that metabolic system, the lean mass and the tissues to get all of their essential needs done throughout the day. So you might feel fatigued at first, but over time you can get accustomed to it and you feel normal. So we can get more calories in than what you'd typically think. So here's how you can customize it. So if you are active, male or female, so we'll start with the men. They're going to do best with 6 to 8 servings of each food group per day. Now that's 3 to 4 meals of what we talked about above. And then women are going to be 4 to 6 servings of each food group per day. And this is generally, as we're taking a level athlete, you're going to be more. And a lot of this is trial and error as well. We're going to see how you feel, see how you perform, see how you react. And we're going to take notes along the way. So some notes here on the left, you might need more food if you're larger in stature. You aren't feeling satisfied at meals, you're eating less frequently throughout the day, you're very active like we talked about, you're trying to gain muscle, and you aren't getting the results that you would typically want to see. So if you're just staying the same, then obviously we need to make a change in either your training or, in this case, your nutrition. So if you need less food, it might be because you're smaller in stature, more petite, feeling too full at meals. If you're eating too fast, it's easier to get fuller more quickly and overeat. If you're eating more frequently throughout the day, or if you're not very active, or if there's a day you're sitting around a lot, that's a day that you might not need as much food. Are you trying to lose weight? And are you not getting the weight loss results that you are desiring? So those are all some of the things that you can start to do. So if you're looking to gain weight, you're under eating, add a cupped handful of carbs and or a thumb of fat to a few meals each day. Women, if you're under eating, half cupped handful of carbs or a half thumb of fat to a few meals each day, considering if we're keeping those protein levels the same. Athletes can add maybe some protein in there as well if you're looking to gain some mass. If you're looking to cut out some of the excess calories, so I would start with carbs and then consider where you're getting your fats from during your meals throughout the day. A half cup, handful of carbs, and removing a half thumb of fat from a few meals each day should do the trick and helping you cut some of those needless calories out that might be getting into your diet. So let's consider this. Now that we've got a good baseline for just our daily life, now let's get into if we are exercising. So we're using the same scale of the palm, the fist, and the thumb, and the cupped handful. So some things to consider: when to eat. If we're looking at these different body types, an ectomorph is going to be a taller, more slender rail type body type. If you're a mesomorph, looking at more muscular, average height, athletic. Endomorph is going to be a little shorter in stature, a little larger, higher fat mass, but they are going to have to make some modifications. So let's dive into each one of these. So let's say you're an ectomorph. You've identified yourself as this generally lean with smaller frame and thinner limbs. You got fast metabolism and you tolerate carbs well. So this person's usually trying to gain muscle, maintain muscle, and support endurance exercise, such as running a marathon. So for these ectomorphs in general, you're going to eat 1 to 2 hours before activity. During exercise, if you're looking to gain weight, you're looking to add a protein and a carb during that exercise, whether that's in the form of a drink or a quick meal. For an endurance sport, same thing. For fat loss, we're looking for just water or essential amino acids. For body comp, same thing. And then for maintenance, same thing. So throughout the course of a golf round, we are looking to have a balance of blood sugar throughout the round. So we're not really looking to gain weight through that activity. And it's long, so we're gonna have to eat a lot throughout the course of that round to help maintain levels of blood sugar, more than you would think. So an ectomorph meal after exercise, 1 to 2 hours after exercise, although timing has been shown not to be of major importance, your meal is going to look like this for men. 2 palms of protein for dense foods, 2 fists of vegetables, 3 cupped handfuls of carbs, so you're adding carbs in, and 1 thumb of fat dense food. So those carbs can be in the form of the starches, pastas, vegetables, things like that. Those vegetables are going to be carbs as well. For women, 1 palm of protein-dense foods, 1 fist of vegetables, 2 cups of handfuls of carb-dense food, and then a half thumb of fat. So if you're a mesomorph, those numbers are going to change just a little bit to support the muscle mass that you're looking at. And this is what you're looking to do before exercise. You're going to eat the mesomorph meal, which is to the right here. And you can pause this and write these down as well. But some things that you're going to want to add during exercise for weight gain would be essential amino acids. So getting into supplements. And then 15 grams of protein, and then 30 to 45 grams of carbs. So that's going to help support a high intensity activity and give you the nutrients that you need to perform at your best. For fat loss, we're looking at the same as the ectomorph, amino acids of water, body comp, same thing, and then for maintenance, same thing. And then again, you're eating your meal 1 to 2 hours after activity. So if you've got an early round, it's important that you're getting up early enough to eat 1 to 2 hours before. That gives your body enough time to start to break down into some of the carbs, absorb those nutrients, and then your proteins are going to be saved for a bit later. So the mesomorph meal for the male is going to be 2 palms of protein, 2 fists of vegetables, 2 cupped handfuls of carb-dense foods, and then 2 thumbs of fat-dense foods. And you can really add whatever you like into that based on your eating beliefs or your backgrounds as well. So for women, 1 palm of protein-dense food, 1 fist of vegetables, 1 cupped handful of carb-dense food, and then 1 thumb of fat-dense food. So say we're in an endomorph, so larger frame, heavier than most, slower metabolism, and don't tolerate carbs as well. So we're going to look a bit differently from the ectomorph and the mesomorph. So here's what the endomorph meal looks like. 2 palms of protein again for the male, 2 fists of vegetables, 1 cupped handful of carb-dense food, so you're cutting some of those out, and then you're adding in some fat, so 3 thumbs of fat-dense food. Same thing for the women. 1 palm protein-dense food, vegetables at 1 fist, a half cup handful of carb-dense food, and then 2 thumbs of fat-dense food. So we're having the vegetables in there, cutting out some carbs, adding in some healthy fats. So some of the things that we want to do throughout the day. So during exercise, this is where it changes. We don't need that protein. We don't need those carbs to overload the system during activity. So for whatever your goals are during activity, we're going to have amino acids or water as the recommendation for you to get the nutrients that you need during activity. So it's something to support you throughout a workout. Now during the golf round, we want to have that meal again 1 to 2 hours before, and then we're eating something after as well as during. So golf is going to be kind of more of that endurance event over 4 to 5 hours with these spikes in demand for energy. Depending on how many shots you hit, the higher handicap players are going to have more demands on the system, less demands for the lower, depending on club speed. So use these as general recommendations. I would say that slide 3 here is the best one for you to get used to and start analyzing what you are eating throughout the day, but you also need to have a look at, okay, what's my body type, and what are some of the things that I need to do throughout the day to cut out if I'm looking to lose weight, or add if I'm looking to maintain my lean mass, or even build some lean mass moving forward. So I hope this simplifies some things in calorie counting. It's important to look at food labels, but don't use it as gospel, because 1, it can be wrong, and 2, the FDA is allowing it to be wrong. So calories in, calories out, we're looking at, it's not an exact science. We may have some underlying issues that are affecting the rate at which calories are being expended and how much ATP or energy currency you need to maintain that activity. That could be different as well. So use this to simplify, but also manage your nutrition throughout the day. So thank you for joining us. We'll expand upon this in the future, get into some more specific things. So I know we can dive deeper into the science and demands of golf and certain activities. But what we find is if you're getting the right steps and you're building up to those maybe phase 2 or phase 3 type activities, then that's something that's going to build long-term health. So most people will do well just with the information that I gave you today. But thanks so much. Please like or subscribe to our YouTube page if you get a chance, and then follow us on social media at Par4 Fitness. That's Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.